This is your Daily 5 for Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. In the last few months, I am a subscriber and I have been following a great YouTube channel titled Off the Shelf Reviews, where a pair of individuals review different movies. It seems like a lot of them come as Patreon suggestions. They also do movie series reviews. They did all of the Hellraiser films until the reboot. And most recently, they've been going through the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, of which there were a lot more than even I was aware, which is really stunning. And as they've been talking about these movies, and honestly, between the Hellraiser films and these films, you really do start to see that as the quality of the films degrade. It's actually kind of funny, but I do feel bad for these individuals because you can see that it just starts to wear on them after a while to watch these movies and see the quality just drop through the floor. But when they were talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, and of course, Lando and I have been watched a couple of the Friday the 13th films, and I've watched all these movies over the years. And the thing is that in many cases, the horror franchises that exist, really the only ones that have ever had some degree of justification for their existence were the Friday the 13th movies and the Nightmare on Elm Street films. Friday the 13th, they just decided to go off the deep end in the second half of those films, but they did take chances here and there. And in the case of Nightmare on Elm Street, they somehow managed to get people really invested in a child murderer / pedophile and make him into a gag. And then they ran with that for a while. Really, two just remarkable franchises when you look at what they've done. But two of the other big ones that have gotten a number of movies are, of course, Halloween and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, apparently. Now, Halloween, it's an easy argument as to why the movie should never have gone past the first one. The first Halloween is a perfect film, and had nothing ever come after it, it would exist as an immaculate example of a one-and-done film. But unfortunately, there was money, and I actually have a soft spot for Halloween 3, even though I would not call it a good Halloween film for what Halloween is now. But really, there should never have been sequels. The whole point of the end of Halloween is the idea that evil exists everywhere, and you really can't get rid of it. That evil is not a person that you can stop. It is many things. But that lesson, of course, was lost to history. In terms of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, though, another very, very exceptionally well-made single horror film in terms of the first one, that's a case where I would argue that there was a perfect sequel that none of these films ever made. The first movie ends with much of the family for the Texas Chainsaw, I don't remember what the name of the family is, but Leatherface's family are largely unpunished and intact. But now we have a survivor who will go someplace and tell the authorities that something has happened with an ample amount of evidence left behind. This does not strike me as a masterful crime family that will know to cover up their tracks. So the sequel would naturally be the elimination of every one of those family members by law enforcement. And it's kind of unbelievable to me that they didn't do that in any of these sequels, to just do a direct follow-up to the first movie where all the cops come in and the movie is the family getting systematically wiped out, ending with the entire house being burned to the ground as the survivor is there to witness the fact that her tormentors have been wiped out, and the series ends. It's 2 movies. I mean, I don't think they needed 7 of them, but that's such a logical sequel that the fact that they did everything but that with every follow-up, that they've done prequels and other kinds of sequels and gone in comedic directions and tried to do all these different things, and never once has there been a movie that was that simple and straightforward. And I'll tell you right now, I think that movie could be made today. I think you could make a simple movie that just follows up. Obviously, you'd have to recast the survivor. That woman, I think, is still alive, but she'd be far too old to play the same character, Sally. But you could still do that movie. And I think it would still work. I think you could do that sequel right now and have it be the catharsis that the family gets punished and they all end up dead. How is it that nobody has made this movie? It is baffling to me because, again, like Halloween, where do you go with a sequel? Well, in bad directions. Friday the 13th, do the same thing over and over. Nightmare on Elm Street tried something different, didn't do well, and then went back to the well in the same old formula. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre has a logical and to some degree almost required follow-up. And yet again, in all the movies that have been made, nobody's ever done it. If you have an explanation for that, please let me know, because I've tried to think of one and I can't come up with it. Later.